In this video, we're going to talk about how to do your process documentation using a tool called Notion. So what is process documentation? It's really just a way of documenting any of the processes you have going on. Process documentation makes it much easier for new people to follow. So when you're training new people, they can follow it. It can provide good checklists and best practices even for people who are experienced. So documenting your processes is key because you're going to have turnover at some point. So you might as well plan for it now. So Notion's a great tool for this. This is a Notion template I've set up to hold my other time management templates. So I've got sections here on goal setting and day planning and task management. But right now we're going to talk about process documentation. So I'm going to talk about 3 ways to do process documentation here: checklists, screenshots, images and text, and video documentation. And the one I want to talk about first are checklists. Now, I'm the checklist king. I love using checklists for everything. When I come up with a new process, I start with a checklist. What I love about checklists is it gives you step-by-step, easy ways to follow something. You can mark them off as you're done, and you can continually update them and add to them. So if you do only one form of process documentation, I would say start with a checklist. So this is a Notion. I've created just a little toggle button here, and then I've started to capture the different things. Okay, is the contract signed? Is their salary approved? Have they done their tax forms? Have we talked about hours of work? There's a policy manual given, training videos. You can make a whole list of all the different training videos they have to watch, and so on. And so it's just really a really simple way of just setting this up and having it done. You can have as many checklists as you want. The checklist can be inline, like I've done here, or the checklist could go entirely to a brand new page if you wanted. So if you're going to have a whole bunch of checklists in one area, you might want to have one workspace just for checklists or one page just for checklists to capture all of them. So as I said, a checklist is a great way to start to document your processes. Highly recommend you start with that. And it's very easy to flesh out a checklist later on. So if there's some things here that are more complex or more difficult where people need more help, then you can add the screenshots, the images, the text instructions, deeper text instructions, or the video documentation. Now let's talk about the second way to do process documentation, which is by capturing screenshots and images and text of what you're doing. So in this case, I added a processes area here, and I created a new page. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to show people how to do Google Alerts. Google Alerts are really quite easy, so it was not that hard to do. So essentially, what happens is I tell people, step 1, go to Google Alerts. Then I've done a screen capture here. So a screen capture is really easy to do. I use a tool called Greenshots, but there's lots of other. The print screen on your keyboard will usually work. So in this case, I do a quick screenshot, and then I can just go here, and then I can just capture that image. And at this point, I can copy it to my clipboard. I can save it to my desktop. So I think in this case, I saved it somewhere, and then I imported it into Notion. You can also open it in an image editor. So if you wanted to add a line here or something, an arrow, then you can do that as well. So in this case, I saved it to my desktop, and then I went here to add it, and then so on. And you can see in the second one here, I've done the screenshots, and then I've added the enter keyword, press the create alert to create the alert, check the preview to ensure proper results. So it's fairly easy to do. It takes a bit of time because you have to write the text for each one, and then you have to capture the screenshots, but it works quite effectively. You can see this is very easy to follow, very step by step. One thing is, if you're thinking, well, Garland, this isn't going to work for me because my process isn't computer related, I can't capture a screen. So in that case, take pictures. If you're tearing apart an engine, you can take pictures of each step. Have a very simple camera and take pictures at each step, and then you can go and write the text later. So the fact that it's not on the computer, you can't take screenshots, don't let that stop you, because you can work with the pictures as well. The third And my favorite way of doing process documentation is video documentation. With video documentation, you just take a video of whatever you're doing. This can be a computer video, like a screen, capture your screen while you're doing things, or it can be live video using your smartphone camera or any sort of a video camera. And it's really a fast way to do it, and it shows everything step by step. One of the tools I like to use for this is a tool called Use Loom. And Use Loom is a tool that will makes it really easy to do screen capture. I have a button right up in my browser I can use just to capture videos. And once I capture the videos, it puts them in this really nice format for me and hosts them online, and then gives me a link that I can copy and share for people. So it makes it really easy to create a video library that you then share with people. The cool thing about the tools like Notion is that Notion will let me embed Loom videos right in here. If I go, type Loom, it will let me embed a Loom recording, and I can paste in the URL. And incidentally, you can also embed YouTube videos, and you can also upload videos as well. So you don't have to use Loom. I just like it because it's really easy. But by doing this, it makes it a really easy way to quickly add videos on how to do everything. And then if people click on the video, hi Kurt. So I was looking at some keyword research for the idea of the voicing of the queue management numbers. So that's a really fast way to be able to create video documentation by capturing your screen or by using a video. And think about if you were organizing an event every year, it would make sense to walk around the event with a video, do a voiceover and say, well, this is what worked really well, this is what felt kind of awkward, this is what we got behind on. And if you do that right at the time of the event, it'd be much easier for you to organize next year. Or if you've lost the organizer for the next year, it would make it much easier for someone else to follow. You don't have to use these tools I'm mentioning for this. As I said, Notion is a great tool for this, but you can use things like Microsoft OneNote, really anything that can capture, pull together checklists, screenshots, images and text, or video documentation. Any tool will work for this. Notion works superbly, of course, but it's not the only tool out there. So if you have any questions about process documentation, please pop them in the comments below. Please hit the like and subscribe button. It encourages me to write more. And hit the share button. Please share this on social media. It helps me get the word out. Thank you so much for listening.